So this project is just a plain, folded, polished cuff. Nice and simple. We're making a bracelet, 150 mil long, 20 mil wide, 0.8 thick, sterling silver. Use a round template, mark the ends, saw, file with the number 2 cut flat hand file, and sand with 400 grit paper on a sanding stick. When I file, I brace the edge of my piece against the bench peg, and I just actually rest the edge of the file on the bench peg. File at a 45-degree angle, it knocks the burrs off the metal. And then your sanding stick. Run over it with your fingers, trust your fingers. If you can feel a little burr, tidy it up. If your metal is annealed, put a mark down the middle and fold it. This isn't annealed, so I'm going to have to heat it up to a dull red, quench it, and pickle it to get the oxides off. Put a mark down the middle of the piece using a permanent marker. I just hold it to the right amount from my finger, so that is close to the right mark, and I just run my finger down the middle. Doesn't have to be accurate. We're going to hammer this into our block using our tapered nylon hammer. Now, I'm just going to hold this edgewise on my anvil, use the rawhide hammer, and crimp that down. Now I'm going to go through the rolling mill and just flatten that so that the metal is nice and smooth, and we want it so that it just enough to flatten it. We don't want to kill it, and we don't want to make it any longer. Now we're just going to heat this up again until it's a dull red. Because we folded it and flattened it, it's work hardened, which means you won't be able to open this up until after you anneal it. We're just going to go from end to end, and when it's a dull red, stop. I'm shielding the metal from the light so that I can actually see the color. One of the indicators is when the flame is turning orange as it's brushing across the metal. It means the metal is actually up at annealing temperature, so you can stop. Now we'll quench this in water. Dry off the metal, and we're going to take a straight burnisher and work it in the end to start opening it up. And now we'll just hammer this over a ring mandrel to open it up more. Use your rawhide hammer on this, and I'm on the small end of the ring mandrel. Just work your way down the length, and when you're open about this far, that's about halfway open, then we can go on to our bracelet mandrel and do the rest. I'm just going to hammer this around my bracelet mandrel using a rawhide hammer. The reason we're using the rawhide is I want this nice and smooth and shiny, and this won't put marks in it. Now we're going to hold this around our round ball, and we're just going to hammer the edges. You can hit the middle if you want, it won't make any difference. But the idea is, by hitting the edges, it's going to make it into a bit of a dome, and it'll smooth out the ripples in the edges. So we've got our shape. Now we're going to hallmark it. .925 because it's sterling. Pickle it, polish it. Now this is smooth, so you can either tumble it or you can polish it on a Tripoli wheel.